former presidential advisor and political analyst Ronald Llamas. So you have watched the speech. I wanted to get your initial reactions to the whole address.
Well, nung nagsimula yung speech, akala ko okay na dahil sinabi niya yung image natin as the fastest growing economy sa region, and yet, yung mga nararamdaman ng karaniwang tao.
Tinemper niya yun with lived experience.
Bigas, pagkain, serbisyo. So, pero after nung first paragraph na yon, medyo nag-dwell na siya dun sa mga talaga namang ginagawa ng gobyerno. No? Irrigation, interconnectivity, anti-poverty, etc. So, marami doon sa mga sinabi niya ay yung mga ginagawa na talaga nila as government, as agencies.
Dapat naman talaga may accomplishment doon.
Yes, no? Kaya nung malaking bahagi ng speech, medyo inaantok na ako, no? Until nung dumating yung climax na atin ito at saka dun sa usapin ng Pogo ban. For a while, sabi ko, papangiti pa ba niya yung Pogo? No? Kaya nung binanggit niya na total Pogo ban, nag-standing ovation yung mga tao. At dun sa binanggit niya yung West Philippine Sea, nag-standing ovation yung mga tao.
Twice.
At ang reaction ko lang ay marami dun sa mga nag-standing ovation ay nag-standing ovation din kay Duterte nung sabi niya na walang kwenta yung UNCLOS victory. So medyo marami-rami yung mga ipokrito doon sa house kanina. Pero significantly ay sinubukan na rin mag-divert ni BBM at gumawa ng dig sa kanyang mga bagong political rivals, political enemies. Halimbawa dun sa drug war na sinasabi niya na extermination ay should never be part dun sa anti-drug war. At sinasabi niya yung peaceful resolution nung campaign na yan. At may dig din siya dun sa binanggit niya na of course, on the West Philippine Sea. Kaya may kaunting political attack siya. Bagamat based on his personality na conflict-averse at saka passive-aggressive, hindi siya ganun ka-direct. Pero tingin ko ay hindi lost sa mga observers na meron siya mga banat sa mga Duterte dun sa kanyang statements on the drug war, on West Philippine Sea, and even on the Pogos. Dahil nag-flourish naman yung Pogos nung panahon ni Digong at marami sa kanyang mga tauhan, katulad nila Michael Yang, katulad ni ex-human rights lawyer Harry Roque, ay napatunayan na involved sa Pogo. So, tingin ko yun yung political aspect nung kanyang banat. Pero marami pa rin mga gaps. Halimbawa, sa human rights, katext ko yung mga labor, medyo masama loob nila dahil yung ILO resolution about sa harassment ng mga trade unions ay walang nabanggit, high-level delegation niya na dumating last year. Yung napakaliit na minimum wage increase na 150 pesos na hindi naisulong ng kahit anong gobyerno since 1989, ang ibinigay ay 35 pesos lang. Mga 3 itlog lang yun no?
Insulting nga yung hike daw.
Oo, kaya medyo galit yung labor. Yung usapin sa labor contracting, hindi rin natalakay. So, meron pa rin mga gaps. Bagaman, natabunan na yan nung usapin ng West Philippine Sea at nung Pogos. Although, first time niyang binanggit ang de-escalation sa usapin ng West Philippine Sea. No? Ang suspicion ko ay ito ay consistent dun sa ginagamit din ng mga Amerikano na term na de-escalation. No? Isa yun sa pinanggalingan ng kanyang statement dito. Pero from a political at saka from my vantage point, yun yung mga significant na nakita ko dito sa SONA na ito.
Okay. Minonitor din ng Rappler yung mga online conversations about the SONA, and we have with us Digicom specialist and civic engagement specialist Vic Lema, who will now give us a situation kung ano nga yung nakitang conversations online about the speech. Vixie, ano nakita mo?
Yeah, actually, Filipinos online have mixed reactions. Tulad nga ng nasabi ni Sir Ronald, he ended the speech with a bang. And yun talaga yung climax ng speech niya, especially with the declarations on Pogo and West Philippine Sea, na nakita natin nag-standing ovation pa kahit yung mga SONA attendees. But same rin yung feelings nila with Sir Ronald kasi parang around 30 minutes into the speech, we were monitoring parang mga search na on summary and highlights of the speech kasi
hindi
parang hindi na sila makapaghintay ko ano pa ba yung what's there in store for us pa ba. But these two topics may have been really the highlights of this year's SONA. Kasi majority naman of the comments, even before SONA or this day, are about urging the Marcos government talaga to order a complete ban on POGOs and of course, a strong stance on the West Philippine Sea dispute. Also, dahil rin dito sa announcement of the ban of POGOs, nag-tweet din si Attorney Cheldrock, no, attributing yung decision ng POGO to Senator Risa Ontiveros' efforts because if not for her persistence, diba, during the Senate probes, hindi naman mauungkat yung mga ganitong illegal operations that are actually running here in the country. Also, on other issues naman tackled in his SONA, like yung sa agriculture, they're calling on the government to promote yung farm-to-market system, which I believe is na-discuss din naman kanina. They also floated the idea na baka pwedeng mag-provide din yung gobyerno ng free water supply for farmers' lands dahil nga sa increasing cost din ng tubig at ng iba pang supplies para lang makapagsaka. Also, syempre sa inflation and rising cost of commodities, nag-resurface din yung pangako ni Marcos na 20 pesos na per kilo ng bigas and also yung patuloy na pagtaas ng mga commodities, price ng commodities and goods. Also, they are also calling out the government dahil patuloy pa rin ito sa provide ng aid distributions lang, mga band-aid solutions like ayuda, na hindi naman talaga makakapag-solve sa mga problema sa bansa. At maririnig na natin kanina, inulit lang din ni Marcos yung promise or plans niya to completely digitalize yung country. Pero yung comments din kanina were actually calling them out kasi parang yung speech mismo ang daming lags. So parang, the irony, ganyan. And on his economic plans naman, people online are also saying na yung Marcos administration, they're able to lay out their plans and promises, but they fail to really follow through with actions. And it's been 2 years, so ano na. They're also calling on the government to provide Filipinos with rather concrete steps kesa yung parang pure lang words, lip service nga yung tawag nila dun sa nangyayaring SONA, rather than an accomplishment report of the President to the Filipinos. Along with it, they also noted na patuloy pa rin yung pag-push ng mga laborers, like yung sinabi ni Sir kanina, dahil wala ring galaw yung struggle nila for increase in worker salaries. Also, some netizens suggested na sa OFW naman, actually they commended BBM because sabi nila first time daw nilang marinig na ma-acknowledge yung contribution ng OFW in terms of remittances, which they think is good naman daw. While he talked about yung quote-unquote bloodless drug war, he also failed to address yung ICC investigation into former President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs, and hindi rin niya na-mention kung paano tatrabahuhin ng administrasyon niya yung justice para sa mga biktima ng extrajudicial killings during Duterte's time. So they think yung mga last few words ni Marcos during his speech were directed to former President Duterte, kahit wala siyang direct na patama kay Duterte. Also, as mentioned earlier by the panelists, people online also highlight yung hindi niya pag-mention sa Jeepney Modernization Program, sa Maharlika Investment Fund, ano nang nangyari, Soji Bill, none at all, and among other pressing issues faced by the country. And also, eto hindi na to sa SONA, pero sa red carpet, I think worth noting din yung mga comments nila because most of the comments were saying, ang laki ng budget, it could have been allocated to alleviate yung poverty and hunger. Then yung mga display of extravagant outfits could have been parang allocated for other important issues in the Philippines, something like that. And it also contrasts daw the true state of the nation. Parang ganun siya. And also, si Amy Marcos, si Senator Amy, was also criticized because she just gave a laugh nung tinanong siya sa performance rating niya for Marcos. Parang ganun.
Oh, hindi ko napansin yun ah.
Parang laugh lang, walang any words.
Yeah.
And she just walks away.
Parang sabi niya, kapatid daw kasi niya yun. So parang she's in no position to give her rating. But yeah, she laughed. And of course, course, si Vice President Sara Duterte is a no-show sa SONA kanina. Kaya highlight din yun among the comments because, of course, she's a Vice President, but nag-release siya ng statement earlier also na she will in no way monitor or watch the SONA kasi daw nag-empathize daw siya with the Boholanos. But for people online, for Filipinos, it was, I quote, very unintelligent statement and they feel sad about the kind of public servant that she is.
Parang nagamit pa yung patay eh.
Yeah.
Kawawa naman. No?
Yeah, so yun, generally, yung mga comments naman, yung mga people monitoring online, they're sad because yung parang state talaga ng nation ngayon is we're all caught in the middle of the fractured unity of Marcos and Duterte. And parang wala pa rin concrete plans si Marcos despite his hour-long State of the Nation address earlier.
Okay. Vixie, meron ba nakuwang sentiments about, kasi you mentioned nga people were getting bored at a certain part. I remember rin na we would compare minsan dun sa past SONAs kung gaano ka-engage yung mga tao with the SONA. Was it actually a speech that they were actively listening to, or meron bang feeling na mag-tune out na lang? Did you get any sentiments like that, or so far wala naman?
Kanina sa comments, we were monitoring sa YouTube and Facebook both. I think naka-apekto din talaga yung lagi na live stream because syempre yung social media has made the attention span of Filipinos very much shorter, and also yun nga parang yung statement niya kasi was very motherhood, was very parang siyang hindi talaga accomplishment report. So parang narinig na namin to, what's new, something like that. So ganun yung mostly sentiments ng mga tao, which I think made them tune out. Yun nga parang yung nasabi ko kanina, kahit around 30 minutes pa lang of the speech, parang gusto na agad nilang makuha. Ano ba yung message talaga? What is really the state of the nation?
I'm wondering rin if yung mga people online, did they have the same feelings about yung West Philippine Sea statements as, kasi nakita natin standing ovation, but did it hit them the same way? Or same old same din?
Yeah, I think kasi yung most of the comments were, while they were lauding yung ginawa ni BBM, para siyang as he should. Parang ganun.
Okay,
parang
dapat
ganun
lang
yung
naman.
dating. Yeah, parang it was the bare minimum. Parang siyang long time coming na for the president to even declare yung ganong bagay, both on the POGOs and the West Philippine Sea issues.
Any questions for Vixie? Maybe about online reactions, sentiments? Pero yun nga, yung funny lang dun kay VP Sara, yung mga responses niya to things like this, they're always kind of, I'm not interested, I don't have to explain. And I'm wondering how do people react to that kind of statement? Na,
Profound kasi
hindi na
siya.
siya nag-engage. Yung nga parang,
Masyado siya malalim. Kaya we missed the point. Dun sa kanya.
and we don't have the right to ask what the point is,
Wala.
apparently.
Talaga.
Or her point is, I can do whatever I want. And nobody has the right to question me. Ganun yun.
Halimbawa, yung mga ilang mga mahalaga niyang nabanggit last, nung second SONA niya, medyo hindi niya natalakay dito eh. Or nabanggit niya pero parang paulit-ulit lang eh. Halimbawa yung sa mga hoarders, smugglers,
yun.
cartel,
Yung war
na
scene.
alam naman niya na very crucial sa ating agricultural situation, sa ating mga problema, at tinatamaan na siya dahil sa presyo ng bigas, ating staple food. Kung yung ating staple food ay ganyan kataas, lahat tatamaan. No? At pero hanggang ngayon, lagi niyang sinasabi, tutugisin niya itong mga hoarders, itong mga smugglers, itong mga cartel. Pero wala akong alam ni isa na nakulong eh. O
Right, hindi
nakasuhan.
rin yun nasabi na
Dahil
how many
baka wala kang sasabihin talaga. No? Pero yung mga ganun ba, na yun sana yung pwedeng maging defining element ng kanyang speech. Dahil yung highlights naman ng kanyang speech ngayon, with the same effect, kaya niya sabihin in 5 minutes eh. No, yung mga sinabi niya na marami, pwede namang ibigay na sa media yun eh, ng printed form or online, no? Dahil hindi naman yun ganun ka-defining. Pero, ayun nga, yung mga gaps na yan ay eventually sisingilin siya kung hindi niya matutugunan.
Si Vixie raised an interesting point na hindi nga na-mention yung Maharlika Fund. Baka JC, you can give us an update. Ano na ba ang status ng Maharlika Fund and what's been going on in that space?
Yeah, well, actually, until recently, kakapirma lang ni Secretary of Finance Ralph Recto yung risk and investment rules that will govern Maharlika's investments. And then I think they're struggling to have approved yung kanilang organizational structure. Parang there were reports that the president and CEO was asking for 2.5 million per month na compensation. On the one hand, you want those positions to be competitive, yung pay, just like what's done in other sovereign wealth funds. But that's the problem when you're starting with no surpluses to begin with. Madali sana yun, napondohan yung staffing, yung magmamanage ng fund. Kung meron kang surplus to begin with, pero dahil wala, kumuha lang sila ng pera from BSP, from Land Bank, from DBP. So parang pinilit lang yung surplus para lang may masabi na surplus. So ganun. Kaya hirap sila na mag-start until now.
So when are we supposed to be hearing at least some sort of accomplishment from the fund? Like kung ano ba yung if-a-fund niya or mga concrete na wins from that fund, do you think, given these challenges?
Well, you have to note na when you make such investments, such huge investments, yung return on those investments will be reaped many years from now. So parang well after the BBM administration, if they ever get to start soon. So it's really a long-term project, but I mean, you want to set it up right at the beginning. And you want to make sure that there are funds. Pero yun nga, parang so many foundational questions about Maharlika still remain unaddressed. So yun yung critique namin last year sa UP School of Economics and many other economists that it should have been well thought of. But yeah, it was not.
Yung mga binabawi ba ng mga pondo ng hindi gamit? Pwede bang mapunta yan sa Maharlika Fund?
What are you referring to?
The different, the funds that go to the National Treasury, will they be able to, by sleight of hand, call them surplus funds?
Well, I think yung seed fund for Maharlika, specifically they mentioned state-owned banks like Land Bank, DBP, and then some of the net profits of the BSP as well. So it's in the law actually where they will get the seed fund. But actually, investors can come in, put their money into the fund, but right now they're working with the seed fund pala.
Isang concern ko, JC, ay lagi kasing every year humihingi ng increase sa national budget. Pero every year, ang laki rin ng underspending.
Yeah,
diba?
correct.
So how will they address that? No? Indirectly, in relation din yan sa PhilHealth, 90 billion na hindi daw nagastos. Pero most probably because of inefficiency at saka incompetence.
Within PhilHealth.
So I'm sure maraming ganyan sa iba pang mga departamento. No? So medyo tahimik ang gobyerno tungkol dyan dahil parang nagiging norm na yan nagiging norm na yan. Pero isa yan sa mga pwede sanang maging significant na defining moments niya. Kung anong gagawin diyan sa contradictions na yan.
And
especially yung PhilHealth.
Correct. And it's by the way manifesting sa GDP data, yung contribution of government spending in GDP. It's drying up. Actually, parang palit na palit yung contribution ng government spending. Well, you would think na malaki yung role niya with a huge budget and everything, but procurement problems as well as yung lack of absorptive capacity remain to be crucial bottlenecks in many government agencies, including DPWH, DOTR, and many others. So yun dapat we need to be scrutinizing the budget a lot more than what we're doing. Pero of course, it's very technical, but I think nandun yung susi. You will really see the priorities when you look at the nitty-gritty of the budget. And well, we need to be discussing that, especially now that they're opening with the next budget season.
Yeah. Yung mga problems on red tape, parang we didn't really hear that a detailed plan. Although he did say like he wanted to amend the government procurement laws and parang mga digitization of government processes. So, but remains to be seen. Ano ba yung target dyan? I mean, what's the deadline for that? When do we expect these changes to actually be implemented?
Actually, I was wondering why he did not mention yung ease of paying taxes law. Na parang that could have been one of the. I would cite that as one
of ease of doing business. Parang yun lang, but
ease of doing business, not ease of paying taxes. I think that's actually one of the wins that they had over the past year. Hindi naman siya total na walang wins. Actually, there are some wins, and I think that's one of them. So I'm curious why they didn't mention it.
Yung usapin ng investments, dahil hindi ko sigurado kung nabanggit si Secretary Pascual, yung DTI. Dahil siya yung in charge dyan sa almost 100 billion ng mga commitments, mga MOU, mga LOI. No? Pero nabanggit din niya several months ago na may pumasok na 15 billion. No? Parang medyo silent yung presidente doon sa kanyang mga nakuha na raise na mga commitments nitong lahat ng mga biyahe niya. ay nasa na yun. No?
I think na-mention
Na-mention,
Sir
parang
Ron
jobs
kanina some of the investments. But the problem is, of course, yung conversion of those pledges into actual investments. Ideally, they should be publishing the list of actual, ano bang kumpanya ang nag-invest, magkano, saan sila nag-invest. Kasi until now, parang they're just quoting numbers, parang aggregates, and then hoping that media would not scrutinize. Pero
But the time they would actually publish those, they would release a list of companies talaga and even the worth.
Pero several months na yan.
It's quite
January,
dated na eh.
December, nung binanggit nila yan. Pero hanggang ngayon, wala pang lumalabas.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things we should ask.
Yung isang former finance secretary, tinanong ko dyan. Sabi ko, alam mo ba itong mga ito? Sabi niya, kung walang detalye, wala yan. Dahil dapat yan, may detalye na kaagad.
Yeah, it's large, I think, with the Board of Investments. Yan yung mga dapat agencies na tinututukan.
Okay. So,
Isa rin hindi masyadong nabanggit ay yung much flaunted na new ruling coalition na going into the midterm. Ito yung pamalit dun sa Uniteam. Parang wala siya nabanggit tungkol doon. No? Itong gathering ng mga political parties.
or perhaps he wanted to keep it to gut issues and economy. Kasi maybe to mention like a political party in SONA.
Yeah.
Parang I don't think I've actually heard like even Duterte do that.
Oo. Pero yung kasi yung elephant in the room ito yung first SONA na wala na yung Uniteam. Ito yung first SONA na yung kaalyado niya ay kaaway na niya ngayon. So, kailangan may sabihin din siyang content tungkol dyan. Lalo na going into the midterms.
Pwede siguro, but siguro he probably thought that, a standing ovation by all these people who
It's
used
enough
to
of a message.
who used to praise Duterte to the heavens would be a strong enough symbol, and then they can just hammer out the nitty-gritty going towards November.
So we also have reactions coming in from our partners online. And nakita natin, they also have their own insights about the SONA, their own takeaways. And I'll be reading some of these reactions. The first one is from Ira Cruz of Alt Mobility. And ang sabi niya about SONA is, as expected, the President did not tackle basic mobility needs. So far, 3 out of 6 SONAs have centered on roads, bridges, expressways, rails and airports and seaports. Absolutely nothing about the day-to-day needs of ordinary Filipinos. Quite ironic that the President mentioned implementing policies and programs for persons with disabilities as we celebrate National Disability Week, days after MMDA commits a boo-boo in the construction of an EDSA busway ramp. Nakita natin yung parang ramp to hell or heaven, diba, na wasn't a lot of PWDs have criticized. So, a second, we have another reaction coming from Tina Batali of Make It Safer movement. The worsening transportation crisis remains a gut issue, but is always overlooked. The President must remember that 94% of Filipinos do not own cars and must invest in mobility projects that will address the needs of the majority commuting public. It is important that the President continues to promote inclusive mobility and active transport infrastructure like pedestrian walkways and bike paths, something he explicitly supported in an April 2023 vlog. These are essential but often forgotten components that would make big-ticket projects such as railways and roads actually accessible for people. Unfortunately, he missed the opportunity to raise that. Do we have more? There's a third reaction from Foundation for Media Alternatives on the SONA, and Foundation for Media Alternatives welcomes the improvement of internet availability in the country, but we reiterate that the government must consider lowering the cost of internet services. For years, the Philippine internet has been known to be one of the slowest, yet most expensive in Southeast Asia, making it also one of the most inaccessible. And as we saw, there was a lag in the live stream, and that is already a manifestation of that problem. So tama yung mga commuting issues, because we also know that a few months ago, the Marcos administration actually held a transportation summit kasi nga sobrang lala na ng traffic at the time, and they wanted to kind of show what they were doing. And hindi nga sila nakapag-invite ng commuting groups to that summit. They just invited parang mga specific groups na actually spoke very glowingly about the transportation policies of the administration. So yun yung mga parang missing, and yun na nga yung PWD ramp na diba, medyo talagang a lot of people were worried about even safety issues. Very, very basic need to move persons with disabilities, especially on the week of National Disability Rights. So medyo ironic that hindi niya na natakot yun.
Actually, when I first saw that round, I thought it was so strange. I thought it was fake. I just thought
Bad to be true. Yeah, so nakita natin, I think MMDA closed that ramp after the criticism, and I'm not sure what will be the next steps after that, but definitely got issue yan that the Marcos administration has to discuss and find solutions for. So yun, thank you so much for those insights, and siguro no, just to wrap up our panel, maybe some last thoughts. Ito yung SONA na we heard there were highlights, there were boring parts, but what could you take away from it, and what are you hoping will be the next steps hearing that SONA?
Well, yung standing ovation nga niya doon sa West Philippine Sea, ito ay nakasalalay doon sa a new emerging patriotism na nakikita natin sa lahat ng surveys. Medyo nagigising yung mga Pilipino tungkol doon sa aggression ng China dito sa ating teritoryo, sa ating maritime territory. Pero at the same time, katulad nung kanyang unang statement, kinakailangan yung patriotism na yan, lagyan ng laman. Ibig sabihin, kailangan lagyan ng laman in terms of greater service sa mga mamamayan. Halimbawa, basic electricity na napakataas sa rehiyon, yung pinagmamalaki nila na interconnectivity, na pinakamahal pa rin sa rehiyon, pinaka-inefficient. Itong napag-usapan natin na palaki ng palaki ang budget, pero underspending naman, na dapat ay ginagastos sa mga mamamayan, katulad ng PhilHealth, na ibabawas pa. At itong napakahalagang food inflation na ang crucial dyan ay productivity. At wag na lang isisi sa mga external factors lagi. So, dapat gawin ng ating gobyerno, especially ng Department of Agriculture, itong mga kinakailangang mga reforma na ito. In sum, ay kailangan lamanan itong patriotism na lumalaki at sana maihabol yung mga social at saka economic reforms na kinakailangan. Parang napakalaki ng gap eh. No? Paano ipaglalaban ng mga Pilipino yung ating teritoryo kung sila ay gutom? Kung kulang ang kanilang gamot, kung hindi nila alam saan kukunin yung pambayad ng kuryente. So sana lagyan ng substance ito. At dahil sila yung gobyerno, sa kanila natin hinihingi ito. Itong ganitong klaseng pangangailangan.
Sa akin, Pia, may mga missed targets sa ekonomiya na na-omit dito sa SONA na ito, na parang you would think na parang the president is taking responsibility for some outcomes like inflation, etc. Pero hindi nababanggit na malaking component noong missed targets na yon ay actually dahil sa inaction ng gobyerno o sa mga missed opportunities, things that they were not able to do, like yung rise in inflation that accounts for most of inflation in recent months. That was actually mostly because of the inaction of the executive. So ayun, merong mga missed targets, and then yung missing reforms, marami tayong mga reforms na hindi nabanggit, maraming reforms na hindi nabanggit dito sa SONA. And then yung POGO, I think yung highlight, understandably, pero I would like to push back din dun sa idea na parang it's 100% good. Like any other policy, merong pros and cons yan. Kasi as I mentioned earlier, na parang if it goes underground, there's a risk na it might actually get worse. Or it might become even more unmanageable. So parang we have to weigh din ano yung pros and cons nito. Pero yun parang politically I think nag-resonate sa mga kongresista and I think sa mga tao din. Pero siguro konting pushback lang din sa parang meron ding cons yan eventually.
Inday?
People will be talking about POGO and the WPS, and of course that very strong statement about not being different from Duterte in that extermination. It's not policy of his government and all that. But nabanggit ni JC na inaction, ang laki ng glaring inaction niya on human rights, on the most basic rights, on the Constitution, the same rights that took battering from Rodrigo Duterte's predecessor. If he really wants to be different to be known as different from Duterte, and at the same time get rid of the baggage of his dictator father, then he should offer more than benign neglect on the issue of human rights. He doesn't froth from the mouth. He doesn't scream kill. He doesn't curse activists. And yet activists are dying. Activists are getting arrested. Activists are getting facing Trump-up charges. And there's an unprecedented use of the the draconian anti-terror laws against legal activists. Hindi naman NPA inaano ng mga na yan, mga legal activists yan. So, the fact that he's not addressing it just means that wala siyang, hindi ganun ang tingin niya sa human rights ng Filipinos. And considering that most of his priority bills have to do with big ticket development projects that usually encroach on countryside, agricultural lands, and indigenous peoples. Hanggat hindi siya tumayo sa human rights, the benefits of those projects may exact those projects may exact a very, very high cost also for poorer and marginalized Filipinos.
In that sense, we can apply the quote he used earlier for the unnamed personality na he who does not have an opinion is not a good man. So thank you so much to our panelists for your insights. That has been Raptor's special coverage of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s third State of the Nation address. On behalf of our panelists Inday Espina Verona, Marites Pitug, JC Punongbayan, Ronald Llamas, and Raptor reporters, thank you for tuning in. Once again, I'm Pierre Nada. Thank you for watching.